Welcome to the Quiet Warrior Show, where we help top leaders find their pathway to incredible success and a lifetime of happiness. Here is your host, Tom Dutta, the Quiet Warrior.
Quiet Warrior, I guess that's my cue to be unquiet, right, everybody? Welcome to the Quiet Warrior Show. It's Tom Dutta, like Butta, and you just saw a peek of our guest. Listen, I'm navigating some new glasses, so that wasn't supposed to happen, but we'll wave to Michael. He's in the green room. I'm excited because we have coming back a new Quiet Warrior recently on the show, inducted into the Quiet Warrior community globally, and he'll be on in just a moment. This is next generation of broadcasting, everybody. It's called live streaming. We are on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, Twitter, and I'm proud to say we've just joined Rumble. This will be produced and released in the future as a podcast on all the international podcasts. The good ones out there, there's many. There's Spotify, iTunes, TuneIn, Stitcher Radio, iHeartRadio, Google Play. I'm on all of those. It's pretty exciting to have a great audience through the audio channel. And then the YouTube premiere, please subscribe. Click the button and subscribe on the Tom Dutta YouTube channel. That gets us the analytics and excited. And we'll honor the guest's interview today. That'll be released in the near future as a YouTube premiere video. All right, let's bring you back to what we're doing today. Well, returning to the show is Michael Gordan. So, Michael, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Glad to be back.
Absolutely. I was gonna say it's gonna be a cataclysmic experience today, or hopefully, with no technology issues, we don't have any catastrophic issues. I'm being funny, and I think you know where I'm going, but I just want to show the audience something here. I've got this book. It's a cool book that arrived, and I'll use the other camera so you can see it. Autobiography of a Georgia Cat. So let me tell you, Michael and I met through the last interview I did, and I read his first book, and I'm just going to hold that up too. So, Michael, I'm giving you some shameless plugs here. The first book blew my mind, The 12-Step Pathway, A Heroic Journey of Recovery by Michael Gordan. I just love this book, and I'm going to take the opportunity now just to read off the back a little bit about Michael's background, and you can check him out on his website. We're having that scrolling on the screen there. Michael's practiced addiction medicine for 50 years. Wow, Michael, 50. I just thought about that. That's incredible. You developed an intimate knowledge of the 12-step recovery process through your professional and personal involvement with support groups. And many years in private practice, you served as medical director of treatment programs in Georgia, Wisconsin. Michael's published numerous books and articles. Again, we're going to talk about the cat book today. And so much more to the work that he's done. He resides in Marietta, Georgia, and he'll tell us more about his tribe. Michael, in the last show, and I just want to then turn it over to you, the last show we did featured this book, and we were talking about that moment in time where you decided to shift and focus your life on addiction recovery and take that journey to serve others. Do you remember that conversation?
I do. That was a moment I remembered very well.
Yeah, it was quite remarkable. And so what we're going to do now is we're going to take Michael into Plato's Garden, everyone. And Plato's Garden is where we're going to explore a little bit more of that same story. But today we're going to shift that to focus on the new artifact that we've brought to you, which is Michael's newest book. So let me just cue this up, Michael. We can edit all this stuff out. So everybody, we're just going to transition. I need to put something up on our screen here for a minute. Michael, whereabouts are you? Where are you located in the world today?
I'm in Marietta, Georgia, just outside of Atlanta.
Yeah, I know a fair amount about Atlanta. What's your favorite thing? If you were to attract us to come over to Atlanta for some tourism or for some dining or whatever it is, why should we come there?
Well, I'll tell you why you should live here, because we have 4 real seasons. And so we have 3 months of spring, 3 months of not such comfortable summer.
Yeah.
Three fabulous months of fall and 3 months of mild winter. The weather is great. We have beautiful gardens. It's a great place.
Well, thanks for sharing that. And, for those out there, there's many sports. The Four Seasons, wow, what a reason to go to Atlanta. One of the most notable PGA golf events, I think they held it down there somewhere, the Masters, right?
That's in Augusta.
In Augusta.
It's Augusta. It's a couple of hours away from here. We do have the end of the year tournament at East Lake.
Okay.
Yeah. So
wonderful.
And we have the senior PGA tournament here as well.
I didn't know that. That's great to know. So everyone, you've got to make it down to Atlanta, and hopefully you can look up Michael. I know I'll be down there at some point, Michael, breaking some bread with you.
Yeah,
all right, we're gonna cue this up now. So again, we're in the studio with Michael Kyle Gordan, and today we're going to be talking about a new book, Autobiography of a Georgia Cat. We're going into Plato's Garden, so let me set this up, Michael. Just stand by.
Sure.
Okay, we're putting on a little bumper music. So in 3, 2, 1. This is about 45 seconds. Welcome to Plato's Garden, everybody. Now, we should tell you a little bit about Plato's Garden. So on the screen, if you're on the video production, you're going to see this. There's a picture of some guys kind of standing up and walking around. This is Plato's Garden. You can see Aristotle and Plato, and they really walked around and learned from each other. I mean, this is a concept that goes back way in time. Bit of a definition for you, Michael, in the audience. Plato was an Athenian philosopher during the classical period in ancient Greece. I mean, this goes back to 427 BC or so. He was a founder of the Platonist school of thought in the academy, or from the word academia, the first institution of higher learning in the Western world. Now, last time I had you on, Michael, we talked about 3 words that I'm learning as I am doing my doctoral degree at Middlesex University in London. I live in Vancouver, British Columbia, and I'm blessed to be doing that right now. And I'm learning this thing called critical thinking, or criticality. And it focuses on the fact that right now, Michael, we're on the show, but we live our lives doing. We do what we do. But if we start connecting, like in a mesh, we connect all the dots to all of the parts around us, we can find the deeper meaning in our work, the knowing and the being. And so the influences of context, usually I would ask the guests a few questions to dive into the area of macro, which is really what's happening in the bigger world around you when you created your work. The second question is meso, what's happening in the industry. So for example, everyone, Michael, you're in the industry, you're a published author, you're a practitioner, an MD, even though you might be retired, and all these things. So what was happening in the world to influence your work? And then the third is my favorite, which is what was happening in your personal life that may have influenced your public work. So that's where we're going to start off today. There's a question on the screen there. Michael, can you read it out loud?
The question says, what was happening in your personal life that may have influenced you to write and publish Autobiography of a Georgia Cat?
Yeah, so take us into that. Just start back when you had the idea of doing it, whatever you want to share with us.
Okay, so I was living in actually the same house I live in now, Marietta, Georgia, with my then wife, who was Gina, and we were married in 1977. We had a daughter, who was born also in 1977, and Gina had been diagnosed with breast cancer in 1988. And she had a recurrence in 1991 and started a round of chemo, which knocked out her bone marrow, and she developed sepsis, was hospitalized, and after a month she passed away.
Goodness.
In 1992. So at that time I had been sober 9 years. And our daughter was 14. And it was devastating. I mean, you'd have to go through it to know what it's like, and I hope nobody has to go through it, but I know a lot of people do, and it was very difficult, but I got a lot of support. I knew I had to be strong because I couldn't have my daughter lose both of her parents. So I hung in there, and I did what I needed to do, and I continued to work in my profession as an addiction medicine doctor.
Yeah.
And a year later, I started dating my present wife, Judy. Another lovely. I've been blessed with two wonderful.
I would say absolutely.
Oh my God, I just can't believe how blessed I have been.
Yeah.
And so in 1997, 6 or 7, I don't remember which, I decided that I wanted to write about my experience. And I had to think about how I wanted to go about doing that. And what I decided to do was write a story. I didn't want to just write a nonfiction account of what had happened. I thought it would be more interesting, at least for me, if I wrote a story. So that's what I did. I wrote a story. And as I wrote it, I was very surprised, if I can say this, to see how good it was.
Imagine that.
I had never written anything of that magnitude before, and I didn't know I could write, but I found out in the process, yes, I can write. So yeah, so when I completed, I decided that I would go ahead and publish it.
Well, that's fantastic.
And
Let, let,
I want
let
to
me.
go on. Go
That's amazing. That's amazing. I'm gonna jump in here so you can catch your breath. First of all, thank you for talking through that. You know, everyone, we're hearing from Michael Kyle Gordan, who authored the book that we're talking about, the autobiography of a Georgia cat, and we went into why. You know, why did he do that? And that remarkable story. I don't know about you, everyone, but you know, it hits me in the heart. So, Michael, I just want to honor. I'm so sorry for your loss. The situation with Gina. I'm not comparing here, but I know one other person who lost their husband, who was actually apparently a triple crown tennis player in the U.S. And you know, he was healthy, and all of a sudden sepsis crept up, and that was it. His life ended. So there's a whole story, I'm sure, in itself to educate people about sepsis. So what we learned is, you know, the why. Why did you decide to write a story? So we're going to leave Plato's Garden now. So let me just take us out of there. And I'm going to put something else up on the screen here. So, Michael, I did some research and found this website. Tell us what we're looking at, and then tell us a bit about the character on the screen there, the cover of that book, Autobiography of a Georgia Cat, and why did you write it through the eyes of a cat?
I had written a Christmas letter to people
Yeah.
a couple of years previously, uh, and I had authored it through my cat Blackjack. I had two cats at that time,
I see.
Baby Blue and Blackjack. And Blackjack, I decided was going to write the Christmas note, and it was very successful. I thought that I had found a voice through Blackjack. So I decided I was going to have the family cat write the story. Now, I did not write a actual story of my family life, but it was similar. It was certainly based on my family,
I see.
and so it's a lot of what's in the story is actual people and things that happen, and some of it is not.
Yeah. I just want to say to the audience, those who are going to listening to the audio, you won't see this, but on the screen, I just moved on Michael's website. Michael, we're looking at the Gordan Cats. Just name them off because I got a chuckle out of that.
Baby Blue, Smoogie, Lucy Locket, Tiger, Archie, uh, Blackjack, Where do we see? Yes, Jackson, Shayna Madel, Ladybug, and Maji.
And then
That's
as you go
the
down
tribe.
further, there's pictures. These are so adorable.
Yes, yeah, those are the cats. Yeah, yeah.
So let me just have some fun with you. Which one of those cats, or how many of them are still with you today?
We have Maji, Ladybug, and Jackson.
Okay. And in the book, is there any of those cats that are featured or that are through the lens of the book that are part of the book, or was it just
No,
Blackjack?
no, no. Blackjack is the alleged author of the book.
Okay, so Blackjack was the alleged author. That's so creative to write a book that way. I wanted to share another thought with the audience that there's a there's autobiographies, and what I've learned again through doing some work in a doctoral degree is a word called ethnography, and then the word autoethnography. And Michael, I'd like to talk to you more about this, and maybe have you look at my work as I'm writing my thesis, just as somebody who can give me input. But Dave,
I would be honored to do that.
well, I'd be honored to have you. So there, we've just put a stake in the ground. I have a mentor here.
Got it.
By the way, the Quiet Warrior Show is an artifact. It's considered an artifact in my doctoral degree. So the cool thing is everything we're doing here forms part of that work, and the professors are looking at everything with me. So you're going to be you and the cats are going to be part of this story
All right.
somehow. But there is when you do a doctoral degree, which I'm doing, you do what you call criticality. You critique your public work. So again, if the artifact is the Quiet Warrior Show, which now we're talking about Michael and Michael, your books, then I step back and I critique that through a lens. And usually in academia, you pick a discipline like sociology or psychology or whatever. However, when you're doing what I'm doing, the discipline I'm exploring is called autoethnography. That means I'm doing a critique on all my work, but I'm critiquing it through the lens of my experiences interacting in the world with my work. Isn't that cool? And so I was thinking about this. I'm going to remove that from the screen here. So just let me pull that off so I can get you the handsome Michael Gordan back. Yeah, I noticed you chuckled there. I think that was one of your cats who didn't like that. So I lost my train of thought here because you're laughing, which is good, and it gets the world by. So when you do autoethnography, what I was thinking about is here's a guy who wrote a book through the lens of a cat's eyes, and so I really think that's fascinating. I think in some respect it's very, very unusual. So I'm going to ask you to hold up your book there for a second there, Mike, and then just read the title out again.
It's Autobiography of a Georgia Cat.
All right, so I'm going to read something out of there. I've got it in the studio here, so we're going to have dueling books going on. We're going to get to surprise Michael to read some things out of there too. But Michael, we can put that book down now. And at the back of the book, it says editor's note. I'm going to read this out and just ask you to tell us what just interpret it for us. At the end, it says, this is from the editor. I liked the manuscript immediately when I read it. I was intrigued that it was by an author I had never heard of. When Lenny Solomon sent it to me, he hadn't written the epilogue. I had no idea that he was going to insist that he had not written the story. After talking to him, however, I decided to meet with him. I visited Lenny and Janie in their home. Emily was home from college. I won't say that they have convinced me, but what I will say is that Lenny didn't write it. He's not a writer, quite frankly. I'm tired of trying to figure this out, and I have decided to let go of it. We think we have a story here which makes for enjoyable reading, and we'll let our readers decide for themselves what to think about its authorship. What's he saying there?
I was just having fun. Lenny Solomon is one of the characters in the book.
Yes.
And Lenny claims that he found the story on his computer. and Blackjack claims that he learned how to use a computer by watching Lenny. And he was bored because his life had changed a great deal. He could no longer go outside. He had nothing to do. So he decided to write a story. So that's what he claims. And Lenny says, "Well, I don't know. I didn't write it." And this alleged editor who was writing a note saying, "Well, Lenny is no writer. He couldn't have written this story. I don't know who the heck wrote it, and I'm not going to worry about it. I'm just having fun with the readers."
I'm having too much fun. Everybody, I'm going to do a plug here now and ask you to get the book, The Autobiography of a Georgia Cat. Once you get the book, read it, but also we support authors and get them known by asking you to not only read it, but post a review on places like Amazon or Goodreads, where others will see that review, where the agents who fill the bookstore shelves with books will see that, and we can get Michael's work known out there. Michael, I want to ask you to read. Do you want to do an author reading? I think this would be kind of fun for the audience.
Yeah, I'll be happy to do that. And you gave me about an hour to pick something out.
Okay,
So,
of course. So, before we do that, and we'll edit out this preamble. What I'm going to do is I'm going to set it up, and then I'm going to full screen you and let you go. And just
okay.
record. One of the things that I want to share with your audience is that one of the things I learned as an author myself is the coolest thing is going into a bookstore or sitting in on an author reading. It is live, it's authentic, and we get to know the author. That's incredible. One thing I'm going to put a bug in your ear. In reading the book, there were moments of there's up and down stories. The emotion line of the book was incredible, and so one of the things I really enjoy is when there's a protagonist in a story, and then when there's an antagonist, and then when there's fear and sometimes pain, and then all of a sudden there's hope. We come back, and the brain releases oxytocin, everyone. It's sort of like a love chemical that makes us feel like, wow, I'm leaning in. I want to hear more about this story. There's a lot of great movement in there emotionally for me. Can you tell me before I get you start reading about, did you put in the book stories of a cat? If I would say to you a cat is in pain, or a cat is well, let's just give you a thought by sound. A cat's in pain. Cat's really happy. Cat's angry. Would you say that there's a bit of all that in the book as the story is being told?
Oh, sure.
Okay, good.
I would say that.
All right, so we're gonna do some fun. So as you're reading, I'm gonna actually hit the soundboard and throw on a little cat sound effect to see if I can get the emotion right. And we'll play this back later when I produce it and see if it's ready. So, all right, everybody, we're gonna cue this up. So 3, 2, 1. We're here with Michael Gordan, the author of the book Autobiography of a Georgia Cat. I'm going to ask Michael now to do a live reading from his book. Michael, when I full screen you, if you could just hold the book up and just show the audience, tell them the title, and then read, and I'll bring myself back on when you're done. All right, so here we go.
Okay, so this is the book, and I'm going to start from the very beginning, where Blackjack introduces himself in the story. I never knew who my father was. It was Mother who taught us how to hunt and fish. There were 7 of us, 4 boys and 3 girls, raised under an old shed in a railroad yard. None of this is unusual for a cat. Life was good in the railroad yard, every day bringing new adventures. Sometimes it was very noisy. The days were hot and the evenings didn't cool off that much in the Georgia summer, but we were young and didn't really know hot from not back then. As we got a little older, Mom would let us go out and explore. As we got bigger, Mom started to wean us and introduce us to solid foods. We grew rapidly. As time progressed, we were allowed to wander away from the nest and explore the world more on our own. I was never afraid of people, so I would instinctively approach the areas where the men worked. One day, when I was around 9 or 10 weeks old, I left home for good without planning to do so. It had drizzled all morning, and I had been out and about chasing critters of one sort or another, pretty much oblivious to the weather. After a while, I entered an old shed where I encountered a man who was also taking refuge from what had turned into a steady downpour. He picked me up and started stroking my furs, telling me how pitiful I looked. He smelled of sweat and stale whiskey, an aroma with which I later became well acquainted. But he was very nice, as most people are. Shortly thereafter, I was awakened after a nap by a jolt, as he had gotten up and was running alongside of a slowly moving train, carrying me along with him. Before I could collect my little cat thoughts, I had been tossed into an open boxcar, and he had jumped in next to me. It was late afternoon when I awakened from yet another nap. The train was stopping. My hobo pal had picked me up again, and we jumped off, staggered a bit, and started walking along the tracks towards town. And then I talk about a rather rough night that I had in town. And by daylight, I had crossed the railroad tracks that ran behind some buildings which fronted the square. And I was drawn by the aroma of food cooking. I found myself huddled next to the dumpster behind a fried chicken place. Men were gathering in the parking lot, quietly talking and drinking coffee. Two men had left the fried chicken place and were saying a few parting words to each other, standing next to a car. I felt drawn to them and started rubbing my face and flanks on their legs. This simple instinctive act determined the course of the rest of my life in accordance with God's divine plan. In the beginning, when he created the world and made cat in his own image, in his infinite wisdom, he created man to be the perpetual guardian of his beloved creatures. As I rubbed up against these men, one of them picked me up, cradled me in his arms, and started talking to me, mostly just saying, "Po thing, po thing, po thing." Thus did I meet Archie, and for many years we were inseparable.
Okay. Oh, we give a round of applause, everybody, a virtual round of applause. You have a wonderful voice, and have you done any reading before, live readings with your book? I'm just curious.
I probably have, but very limited. This book has not received much publicity.
Yeah, well, it does. It does now. It's going to get a lot of publicity now, especially with the fantastic reveal on the show.
I appreciate the opportunity, and I got to say this. I reread the book a few days ago, and I think it's really good. I hope that a lot of people read it because it's a good story, first of all, and second of all, it deals with important themes. There is a heroic journey as an important theme. Addiction is a theme, and grief is an important theme of the book.
So you just got me thinking about another thread that's going through my mind about writing this book. So now you're crossing over into really your life's work about addiction recovery, being an MD and whatnot. So is there something in you when you wrote this book? You're telling stories through the lens of this cat, but you're also bringing in those threads which were part of your experiences in life. What do you think about that?
Well, I think I wrote about what I know about, and so addiction is it's an important theme in my life, personally as well as professionally.
Yeah, absolutely. And so I'm just going to take something off the screen here, bring you back. Fantastic job reading there. If Blackjack was with us, should we get a little happy cat there? I have to tell you, Michael, I was just this morning stressed out because I forgot to do something. So this morning I got up early. I was on the the computer looking for sound effects for cats, and you wouldn't believe how many 2-second sound bites you can find on kittens. I captured 3, one of sweet cat, one of an angry cat, and one of a pain cat in pain. That's what I was playing there. I might load them on a MP3 file so you can have them, maybe even weave them into your website somewhere so people can be interactive and poke at it. Just love you letting us do that. Going back into the first interview that we had, the first interview was about the other book we talked about. Do you have that book with you? If not, I have it here. Can hold it up.
I do. You want me to hold it up?
Just hold that one up. Well, we're seeing Michael Cal Gordan, the author of Autobiography of a Georgia Cat. And tell us the title of that one.
This is the 12-step pathway, a heroic journey of recovery. Entirely different kind of book.
Yeah, fantastic. And we're going to tease the audience. Go back and watch the YouTube premiere, the video of what we did. It's still in edit, being released soon, of that interview. Fantastic. And there's a thread you brought up, Michael, before we go into the next segment, which is something to surprise you here. There's a thread in this book, the 12-step pathway, where I think remarkably you tied in the narrative of the hero's journey. You turned something that is related to Alcoholics Anonymous, the 12-step program, which, by the way, most of my audience knows I know about because my dad was in it, into something I've never seen before, which was this hero's journey. And then you write a book through the lens of Blackjack the cat, and there seems to be that same hero's journey narrative. Try to tell us more about just doing that, anything at all.
Well, can I tell you how I got interested in the heroic journey?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so I met a patient who was admitted to a Christian treatment unit where I was one of the doctors.
Yeah.
And he told me, he says, well, I need to tell you right away that I'm not a Christian. I don't want you to think I'm a Christian. And I asked him what he does believe, and he says that he's a follower of Joseph Campbell. And he asked me if I know who Joseph Campbell was. And I said, well, I have heard of Joseph Campbell, but tell me more.
Yeah. He
said, well, Joseph Campbell was a mythologist, and he said, with regard to God, that God is beyond all categories of human thought. So he believed that there's no religion that actually has the truth about God. It's not possible to think about God as God is. So I said, okay. He said to me, I know I need to be in treatment, and I don't mind being here for treatment. I have a problem with cocaine. My wife wants me to get help, so she wanted me to be here, so that's why I'm here. And so I went home and I read Joseph Campbell's seminal work, The Hero of the Thousand Faces. Mm-hmm. And I also read The Power of Myth. And I viewed his interviews with Bill Moyers that were conducted 10 years previously at Skywalker Ranch, George Lucas's place. And so it was fascinating. And I thought, addiction recovery is like this, that life is difficult and people are challenged with various things, addiction being one of them. And we're called on to be heroic. And there's a whole theme and a whole structure to the heroic journey, and so I got very interested in that. I thought I would like to write my own myth. I'd like to write a myth, and I did with the cat book.
Yeah.
In which I made a cat a hero.
That's fantastic. You just got me so excited. I was searching before the interview in my mind. Why did he do it? I wonder if he's going to reveal the why, which is really the hero's journey behind my show, the trigger. And that was it. Everybody come back and just listen to that last part of what Michael just said. I want to share something with you and be a little vulnerable here. Let me see if I can take, before I do that, what you're seeing on the screen, everybody, if you are watching the live stream or the future production of video, is, again, Michael's website. So it's michaelcowellgordon.com. We're just going to put the stock ticker back on, michaelcowellgordon.com. I want you to go there, check it out. So we've got on there, we've got that book, but I just want to go to the top of it. So, Michael, just give us a lay of the land of what's on your website, particularly the area where you've got your blog and your books. I think people should know about it.
Well, so I say a little bit about both my books, and I've written some blogs that I think are germane to addiction and or the heroic journey itself. And I reviewed some books. There's a book by Richard Rohr, who I'm a big fan of.
Yeah.
And he wrote a book, Breathing Underwater, which is about addiction and the 12 steps.
That's amazing. You're now, blogging is not something that's easy to do. I mean, there's a lot of thinking and creativity going into it. But everybody, if you're looking at this now, you see some of the blogs. One on joy, a review of Breathing Underwater, Spirituality and the 12 Steps by Richard Rohr. That's one we just heard about. I highly recommend. I know I'm buzzing through this. Here's one I smile at. It's a picture of a clown, but it says, "I'm just another bozo on the bus." So very, very, very creative. I'm going to come back to you, Michael, and pull that off the screen. Why I said I want to be vulnerable with you is I want to share something, and it may not have anything to do with how you've created your public work with these books. For a long time, I felt, when I look in the mirror sometimes, and because of my own upbringing coming from a home.
I've lost your audio.
Oh, you can't hear me? Hold on a second.
I barely hear you.
Okay, just not sure what's happening there. I can hear you loud and clear, so just is it back again or is it still faint?
No.
It's still faint?
Okay. Yeah, it happened when you switched off the picture.
Okay, so everybody, we are live taping, so we'll clean all this up. So we're just having a little technical issue we're trying to resolve here. So, Michael, as I'm trying to fix this, just want you to talk a bit about, this is not projecting this thought on you. I'm trying to explore to see if this is in you. But if you hear what I'm saying here, talk about, is it easier to write through the lens of a character? It's like putting on a mask where you don't have to reveal yourself. You're doing it through the lens of a cat versus doing it yourself. Just talk about that while I fix this up.
Well, I think that's very true. It's a way of really hiding from your audience by having a narrator tell the story, whether it's just another person or a cat. So that's true. But it also gives me some freedom to do things and possibly say things that I probably oughtn't say directly, but I can have a cat say it. So
okay.
It's a very interesting technique that
it's
worked
wonderful.
well for me.
Now, that's wonderful. I'm back, so we're going to edit this part out. Can you hear me better, the sound back again? Or is it still faint?
No, but I do hear you.
Okay. So I think that might be at your end on your Wi-Fi or whatever you're using for your sound there. Let me just check one more thing on my end here. Stand by, everybody. We're just doing some mic. Yeah, my mic is showing strong. So
let me see if my microphone is still on.
Yeah, I mean, if you're using a Wi-Fi, sometimes that may be a shift in the sound level. Can you hear me any better now, or is it still the same?
It had gone off. I don't know why.
Okay, but it's back on?
It's back on.
All right. Fantastic.
Sorry about that.
Not only is Michael creative, but he can solve problems. So the part, again, we'll edit this to make it look pretty for the production. The part I wanted to share with you is, for a long time, I had difficulty standing. When I say stand on a stage, it could be in business when I was in a room with people. It could be looking in the mirror when I get up to go brush my teeth. Could be, I do public speaking now in my practice work. That what I saw coming back to me, I didn't like. It was basically a lack of confidence or a lack of belief that people who saw me would like me or would like the work I'm doing. And so over time, I started finding my way to do things creatively. So, for example, I wrote a book, and in that particular book, which you've read, and I'd love to work with you to see if you can do a blog and throw it on your website about that book too, because I think that would be the most meaningful feedback ever about a book.
I think it's already there.
Oh, I'll have to. I'll go dig on that and find it. So I'm so honored that you did that.
I'll
When
double check.
When I wrote the book, it was easier to write through the lens of a character. We wrote it as a fable, and then I got onto podcasting in 2016, which we're doing now. And I found when I get on the mic, that I can talk and say anything, and that thing that I told you about, the confidence, that is not a barrier. And then I started experimenting with theatrical masks, and you've seen some of my work, particularly with those masks. I have 4 masks now. I've got another one that's being made, and we can take this out of the show so it doesn't take the spotlight off you, but you triggered my thought on it. In Fiji, where my parents are from, there's something called Talanoa, Talanoa, and Talanoa is actually a whole culture of storytelling. It's how the Fijians, they tell stories, and they pass down through their heritage through stories. And so I'm working with a Hollywood mask creator to create a Talanoa mask that's going to be sort of something that is Tom evolved into this culture of Talanoa. So I was having some fun the other day, and I'll just finish with this, Michael, that I put on my mask, and I had a rough spot last week, just something had happened that created a health issue. I'm much better now. And I just had this mental block, and then I put on the mask, and I sat, and I put on my camera, and I became another person. I just let loose, and so everything came out, and it felt good. It felt authentic. I didn't think about people judging me or anything like that. And I think I'll leave it at that and give it back to you. That isn't it true that a lot of people in the world, people like us, we're just human beings. We grow up and we're wearing different masks, and sometimes we don't take off that mask, and what the mask covers up something, and what's really underneath the mask is who we really are. And is there a crossover, a thread to the hero's journey narrative in this? They use archetypes, but this whole concept of wearing masks. Can you talk about that?
Well, interesting. So first, as far as the wearing a mask, in Dr. Jung's structure of the personality, he has something called a persona. And the persona is, in fact, the mask that we wear. It's what we present to the rest of the world. And for that matter, it's who we present to ourselves as who we are. And so, yes, that is true. Now, in terms of the deeper levels of the personality, yes, there's much deeper level is something that is called the unconscious. And Dr. Freud and subsequently many others and made us aware that there is a great deal of the personality that is that we're not aware of, and we can become aware of it through dreams and
Yes.
symbols that we experience that may trigger something within us that remind us of something deeper within ourselves. So the hero's journey is that it's a journey within. It's finding out at a deeper level who we really are.
It's very, very insightful, very interesting. Actually, I like the thread about the imagination and the dreams. That's something that I came across as well. And they're saying that I think Einstein, or maybe there's some connection to his work, but that future lies in the imagination. And by the way, there's a great Netflix show out. My wife and I just found it. I think it's Netflix or the other one, Prime, but it's the movie about Einstein. Have you seen it?
I have not, but I'm very interested in Einstein.
I'll tell you, Michael, you got go find that. It's just
I
come out,
will.
and
I will.
it's fantastic, especially because they take a character playing him. But I had no idea. But this thing about imagination, and I think that comes back to the genius of your work, my friend, is the 12-step pathway. Okay, AA's been around a long time, infusing into it storytelling, the narrative, which the brain is wired for, to be on the edge of our seat, to be in pain, to feel that there's hope. You did it really well in that book. And I'll just hold it up here because I'm a big fan. You sent it to me. And then you did it again in the autobiography of a Georgia cat. And I know you're very humble, and you seem to downplay and because you're humble, but that book is a wonderful book to read. And everybody, you've got to take a look at that one. The characters that come up in there are the stories are so diverse. But now we're going to finish off with another segment before we give it back to you to wrap us up with any last thoughts. So you ready for this? Last time we inducted you into the Quiet Warrior community with an award. Now I have another surprise. So are you set? We'll bring something on the screen.
I'm as ready as I could be.
Okay. I'm going to edit out this transitional talk, but I'm going to put something on the screen now. So let me just set this up. 3, 2, 1. When I met Michael Kyle Gordan, I read his first book, The 12-Step Pathway. I'm holding it up here in the theater. Michael sent me the book, and I always love to get books from authors because they tend to write something in it which inspires me. The other thing is that if you ever get a book from an author and they take the time, like Michael did, like Michael you did, to write something in it, we can show it to our wives or kids or friends or business colleagues and say, look, I got this from the author. And that proves it's from you. So thank you. But in it says, for Tom, to redeeming the world. And then the second book that I just read of Michael's, which we're talking about today a lot, Georgia Cat, Autobiography of a Georgia Cat. To my friend Tom, may you always follow the sun. Tell me what that means, may you always follow the sun. I'm fascinated by what went in your head when you said that.
Follows the sun means follow a spiritual path. And
thank you.
And in the feline mythology that I discovered as I was writing that book, there is a myth in which a cat goes on a heroic journey. And you were just waiting for that. And he is given a new name as a result of his successful execution of the hero's journey. His original name was First Cat, and he became Follows the Sun. And
Wow.
this is biblical because in the Bible, a number of the characters get new names as they have a spiritual transition. Abram became Abraham. Sarai became Sarah. Jacob became Israel. And so this is the tradition that I used when I renamed First Cat as Follows the Sun. It means follow your spiritual path.
Wow. Thank you. I'm honored. You know, it's interesting because you can read a few words on a page that I just read that Michael sent me, and I had no idea what was behind it. And I think that brings to thought another thought that you brought out on me, Michael. I said this to somebody on another show, that the more I learn about your story, the more I know about myself. And this is that whole critical thinking about knowing, being, doing. You know, if you weren't in my life, if I didn't have you on the screen, if I didn't read your books and hear you talking, and even that one line that you wrote, get you to explain it to me, I wouldn't learn and know about myself. I learned so much just by listening to that last piece there, everyone. Come back and listen to it. Which also gives me, there was other reason why I tend to find authors, seek them out like Michael, and write reviews, because I don't write reviews for books just because. I'll write them if I find the books are amazing. And what Michael's done is put a lot of research and effort into his books, as you just heard from that explanation. You know, the cat feline, that just doesn't come out of your head. You have to do some research and translate it into your work, which is incredible. So we're going to now put on the screen something that I've been promising you, the review I wrote for your last book. So we're going to put it up here. And 3, 2, 1. There it is. Look at that. All right. Now, it's a fair amount of words there, so I'm going to try and just bring up another image here while you're taking a look at that and read it, because it's a little, or actually I'm going to go, just we'll edit all this out, but I'm going to take off the screen my show logo. There we go. All right. 3, 2, 1. So I'm revealing today a 5-star international review. This international meeting, I'm in Canada. I've read Michael's first book, The 12-Step Pathway, a while back. This was posted February 23rd on Amazon.ca. It'll go on Goodreads.com. Michael, this is for you. Michael Cal Gordon's The 12-Step Pathway is nothing short of a revelation in the realm of addiction recovery literature. In a unique writing style, Gordon brilliantly trails the 12 steps as a heroic journey, transcending the conventional notion of group meetings and delving into the profound narratives that make each step a significant milestone. Gordon's masterful storytelling, entwined with his own life experiences, provides a captivating narrative that kept me immersed from the very beginning. His 50 years of dedicated service to addiction recovery shine through, making this book not just informative, but also deeply inspiring. One of the highlights is the inclusion of a workbook at the end, offering readers a blueprint to explore crucial topics like powerlessness, humility, and courage, and they navigate their own recovery journey. This practical aspect adds tremendous value, making the book not just a read, but an interactive guide. Having lost my own father after 2 decades, he was in AA, desperately seeking his hero archetype. I can't help but wish he had discovered this book during his time. 12-Step Pathway is a beacon of hope for anyone treading the path to recovery, and I wholeheartedly recommend it. In essence, this book is a treasure trove of wisdom, a beacon of hope, and a roadmap for those seeking their own heroic journey through recovery. Michael Cal Gordon has created a masterpiece that deserves a place on the shelf of every individual touched by the challenge of an addiction. Don't miss the opportunity to explore the profound revelations within these pages. It's a journey worth taking. Tom Dutta, congratulations.
Wow.
Congratulations.
Wow.
All right.
How do you really feel about the book, though? That's
I know. I know. This was one of the worst ones I had to go through. Actually, the truth is, I got advice from your cat over there. Actually, at first when I started saying I'd like to write something about Michael Gordon, do you like him? He said this. He wasn't very happy. Then I said, look, I'm wanting you to write with me, but you're going to have to, it's a, maybe we'll call it a 2 tails, or you're going to have to get your cat paws out and pick up a pen and scrape the blackboard. He wasn't very happy. But then after we finished it, and I read it back to him, Blackjack went, he was so happy again. So there we have it.
I'm glad.
All right. Congratulations to you, my friend. So everyone, we are going to finish with last words before I wrap up from Michael Cal Gordon. Michael, hold up your book there and show it to us again. The new one. Read the title.
You call this my new book, but it's actually my first book. This is Autobiography of a Georgia Cat.
There you go.
And this is a book that I published in 2004. And I did win an award from the Georgia Writers Association for this book.
Ah, fantastic. That is notable. So everyone, where can we get, besides your website, anything else you want to tell us about getting a hold of you for, whether it's for connecting, speaking, whatever, anything at all?
My website is the best place to find out all that information. You can send me an email through the website, and I'd love to hear from anybody who's interested in learning more about my books, or about the heroic journey, or about addiction recovery, or about grief, because I've accumulated some knowledge about grief, which I guess we all do if we live long enough.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's what shines about your story. You definitely, you have wisdom and knowledge, and we can all learn from Michael Kyle Gordan. So everybody, get his 2 books, read them, post some reviews. I hope you enjoy that. The website, michaelkylegordon.com, is on the screen. Please go check it out. Read the blogs. I've seen so much there that I still haven't looked at. Dig into that. And, Michael, thank you for being on the show today. Congratulations on all your great work.
Thank you for having me. It's been a lot of fun and an honor to be interviewed by you. I love the work you're doing.
Well, thanks very much, Michael. It's been a pleasure and a lot of fun today, too, especially from our little feline friends that have been watching over my shoulder here in the studio. So everybody, find that true purpose and passion like you've seen from what Michael's done with his life, and live that life that you deserve and desire. And we all have 9 lives in us, so live like you were dying, or live like you were living every day, like you see here on the screen with Michael. And we'll see you all again on the Quiet Warrior Show.
Thank you for listening to The Quiet Warrior Show. Create is a motive-based leadership development firm. www.kreat.ca.
I'm just taking